Coming up on this episode of Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover.
I'm going to go for two of the worst teams in the NFL and go for the Giants at the Saints.
Thanks for joining us. Here at Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover. We're back for our NFL Week 5 preview. We've got a bumper double guest episode for you for a very special reason. So we'll get into that. We've got London games. The first London game. We had a Dublin game last week. We've got the first of 3 London games this week. Plenty to get excited about. And we're already through the first month of the season. Byron, Joe, joining me as always. Gentlemen, first of all, how are you both doing? How are you feeling about week 5?
Tremendous. And a bit annoyed the bye week's here already, truthfully. It's a very condensed slate, but that might work well with having 2 guests. We can kind of squeeze everything in a bit tighter and be super hyper efficient. I think that's what we've got to go for this week. Getting mid-season form, bang, I will shut up right now.
Yeah, it's week 5. It's going way too quickly, like the season's already gone. We know a lot about some teams still on the fence of others. So yeah, it's another interesting week. Some big games. And always fun to talk about. So let's get going.
Excellent. Well, let's just get straight into it. We're going to throw it over to our first guest, a very, very special guest. So we have John MacDonald joining us. Who's John MacDonald? Well, he's a member of the UK Vikings NFL fan group. And they are taking on a second, I think it's going to become an annual thing now, a second charity challenge to raise money for the Mind mental health charity here in the UK. Last year, they had one of their members walk all the way from York, where they live, and have maybe the home of the Vikings in the UK, all the way down to London for the Tottenham game that the Vikings played the Jets. So that's quite far. Well, John has one-upped it this year. Given the Vikings are playing Dublin one week, London the next, he's chosen to cycle all 600 kilometres, maybe not the sea bit, but all the way from Dublin to London this week. I caught up with him Wednesday night, so this goes out Friday, so he was halfway through the challenge. So here's me with John MacDonald, currently taking the Purple Pedal Challenge, raising money for a great cause in mind. Joining us as the first of our guests here for our NFL Week 5 preview, we've got a very, very special guest taking on a very special challenge. We've got John MacDonald from the UK Vikings Fans taking on a arduous 600-kilometre cycle, raising money for a great cause. The Purple Pedal, as it's known. John, you're partway through the challenge. First of all, welcome to the show, and how are you feeling?
Thank you very much for having me on. Yeah, I'm feeling a little sore. But motivated. It's definitely been harder than expected, but I was prepared. I was prepared for what was ahead of me.
Excellent. Well, you're partway through the week as it is so far. We're recording Wednesday night. This goes out Friday morning. So think of it, John, when this comes out on Friday morning, you'll almost be there. So
yeah,
think of it that way. But I suppose a little bit around, as kind of from the UK Vikings fans group, this is the second, I suppose, one of these challenges to take place to raise money for a great cause. Started last year. You were just telling me before we jumped on. One of the members walked down from York as the Vikings were playing at Spurs last year, as they are again this week. But yeah, did that walk, which again, crazy challenge. I suppose what inspired you to take the mantle up this year, and why specifically this cycling challenge from Dublin to London?
Well, whenever the Vikings play over here, we like to, as a club, whilst we've got this spotlight on us, we like to try and give back as much as possible. So we'll always try and do something when the Vikings are over here. Fortunately, they're playing back-to-back years, and so we've lucked out so much with that. Completely wasn't expecting it. So when we started to hear rumblings that the Vikings might be playing in Dublin, I said on our podcast, I was like, "Oh, I don't believe it. We only just played here. We only just played in Europe. I don't believe they're coming back. But if they do, I will cycle from Wembley, where we played the Steelers last time over here, all the way to Dublin." And I said, "Don't, you can quote me on that. I'll quite happily do that." And then it turns out we were also playing in London. So I said, I'm going to switch that around and I'm going to cycle from Dublin all the way to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium to raise money for Mind. It's a mental health charity. And yeah, I mean, last year, one of our members, our charity lead, he walked all the way from the old Vikings museum in York, where it used to be the Vikings capital of England, all the way down to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. He'd done that over 7 days because he didn't have a game. He didn't have a game to watch on the Sunday, so he left on the Sunday and arrived on the Sunday. Yeah, but we always like to try and give back. Whilst we've got this little bit of a spotlight on our club, whilst everyone's looking at us, we're like, let's try and raise the bar.
Yeah, and I think that's excellent. Great use of the platform, great use of the attention that these NFL games in the UK and Ireland now bring. Just hats off to you guys doing such a incredible, raising money for charity and then doing it in this way. I think is really, really cool. As these kind of challenges do get like a lot of attention and raise a bit more money because you're putting yourself through hell to do it. Where can, I suppose, John, help us or help our listeners? Where can we donate? Where are the links? Where is everything we need to kind of come and support you guys, support you the rest of the way while you're finishing off this challenge? Yeah,
if you want to support me, you can go to the Just Giving page. It's justgiving/page/the Purple Pedal, or you can follow us on UK and Ireland, Minnesota Vikings across a lot of our social medias. Some of it's still UK Vikings, but we're working on that because we had the old handle before we moved to UK and Ireland. We've still got the old handle, but follow. You'll be able to find us across all social media, and I'm doing daily updates. A couple of times a day, I'll shoot a video over to our social team. Are absolutely great. I'll shoot a video from the road, and they'll get it up in a minute or two after doing it, firing around with it, and just putting the links in and everything like that, and just brilliant.
Excellent. Yeah, make sure you go follow the page. So we've been following along on Instagram, UK Vikings Fans on Instagram, and the videos have been going up there as well. Follow John, give John a follow as well. You've got all the details there as well. John MacDonald, the Purple Pedal, all the details, all the links there, and we'll pop them in the episode description. So if you're at the end, jump into the video, or if you're listening on Spotify, go into the episode description, and the links will be there. Go shoot Mind a few quid in there and help the UK Vikings guys raise as much money as possible. So you're partway through, as we mentioned, recording this on Wednesday. How's the body holding up? How are you feeling so far? Kind of almost halfway there. Today was probably one of the hardest days. I've done 60 miles from Chester to North Birmingham at the moment, and I had my first flat tire, busted tire, which was quickly followed by my second. So I ran out of inner tube. I had one inner tube left. We're cycling into Birmingham, and I messaged one of our fan club members. I was like, "You're in Birmingham. Can you grab me? Can you grab me 3 inner tubes this size, this and everything?" Like, yep, I can do that for you. Yeah, so been getting great support from not just Vikings fans, but fans all across the NFL sphere. Just Bills fans, Jets fans, Browns fans, Steelers fans, all fans. But that's the way it is in the UK with NFL fans. We're not just tribal. We all support each other. We all know what it's like to be up at silly o'clock in the morning watching your team lose and then dragging yourself into work the next day on 2 hours sleep. Yeah. I'm a Cowboys fan myself, so we've just done that with a tie, and then so it's probably the worst outcome. But anyway, let's back to more importantly you guys. If anyone on the path between kind of Birmingham down to London, just watch out. John might need some help, so just get ready. keep abreast of the socials. There might be a call from somewhere on the way down that someone needs to kind of help with some bike equipment or the inner tube tires or whatever it is to help John get there to London. Are you hoping to get there? Are you going to it's a plan to get there Sunday morning or Sunday before as the game's almost kicking off?
Because of the restrictions to Tottenham Hotspur on game day, I'm arriving on the Saturday. So I've decided the Vikings are throwing a big party at Battersea Power Station on the Saturday. So I'm going to be cycling there first, meet up with all our fans, see if anyone fancies joining me on a Boris bike all the way to Tottenham. I've said I've put that call out. I was like, come on, guys, it's not that far. Anyone fancies joining me from Battersea to the Tottenham Stadium for the last bit? Yeah, and then I'll be arriving at Tottenham on the Saturday afternoon, evening, depending on how my legs are holding up at that point.
Excellent. Yeah, I'd love to see that procession of the Boris bikes heading behind you to the Spurs Stadium. That'd be a really cool way to finish it. So the challenge started in Dublin, as we've kind of mentioned. You were at the game on Sunday. First of all, how was the experience of that kind of, it's such a lot of noise and hype, and rightly so, around that first game in Dublin. Dublin's such a great host city for events. How was it having the NFL in Dublin?
Oh, it was amazing. Dublin was always going to do it well, but yeah, you see all these NFL fans from all across Europe, and they look at London so jealously that we get 3 games a year every year, and when you see these fans turn up in Dublin and everything like that, it's just it was always going to be an amazing atmosphere. And the whole week, I arrived there on the Saturday afternoon. Yeah, so yeah, parked my bike up, went straight to the Vikings bar and met up with fans and everyone from all over the place. Tried to get the word out as much as possible. Not that I needed to in a Vikings bar, because most of them already knew me and had heard about the challenge I'm doing. But yeah, it was the Guinness was flowing between fans and everything like that. I couldn't partake because I was preparing myself for this arduous journey. So I'll definitely have to go back and sample a few Guinnesses when I'm back in Dublin.
Yeah, Saturday and Sunday full of Guinness before cycling 600 kilometres does not sound like a recipe for success. So you did the right thing, I think, John. Shame to miss out on it, of course, but I think you did the right thing. How was the venue itself? So Croke Park was such a iconic stadium in the Republic of Ireland, just due to its links to GAA and the Gaelic sports, but the NFL being there. How was it then? Assume your first time in Croke Park. How was kind of the stadium for the game? Yeah,
it was a different experience, but yeah, they definitely bought it for the game, and yeah, it was a brilliant experience, because I mean, I was sitting in the upper tier about on the halfway line, so my view was absolutely immaculate. That tends to be my favourite type of seat, when you can just see the whole place developing and everything like that. It's good. That's where I normally like to sit. But yeah, the energy brought by the fans at Croke Park was absolutely amazing. I mean, I'm not going to lie. In the third quarter, when we were 24-6 down, I was sitting there with my arms crossed, sulking, be like, "Stop partying! I do not want to be part of this. I cannot. I can't be doing this. No, I can't. I don't want to be happy right now. I think we're getting blown out here. This is ridiculous." But by the end of it, I was absolutely pumped, and we were having a good time.
Yeah, I mean, so close. The Vikings was roared back, and yeah, as you were saying, through 3 quarters, 21-6, 24-6 to the Steelers. Obviously, Vikings going up against a familiar foe in Aaron Rodgers for the Steelers. But yeah, obviously the Vikings did kind of storm back and had the ball to potentially tie or take a lead. How do you think they're doing at the minute, the Vikings? Obviously, they've dropped to 2-2. JJ McCarthy injury maybe obviously shook things up, and Carson Wentz is in at the minute. It sounds like Wentz is going to play again on Sunday. But what did you make of how did you assess the game, and how do you assess the Vikings start so far to the season?
The injuries on the O-line are absolutely killing us at the moment. The quarterbacks aren't getting protection. I mean, we've got 3 starters on O-line out at the moment. And when you've got a rookie QB and a quarterback that's been in there, 2 weeks or something like that, been in the organisation for under a month, it's hard for them to get it going. But we had Addison come back from his suspension over playing his first game, and he seemed to ball out. And it's the defense just needs to get going again, because I mean, when you've got Rodgers play the way he did against the Bengals, I mean, that was a near perfect game he played. I know PFF gave him the highest rating they've ever given a player, but it's when you've got B-Flow on defense and Kevin O'Connell on offense, you've always got a chance.
Yeah, and I think it's going to take quite the work from those two over the next few weeks, while they're still just kind of navigating through these injuries. You mentioned, I think it was Ryan Kelly came out the game. I think was it Darisaw as well, maybe, who was struggling. Did he come out the game on Sunday, I think, as well?
I don't know if Darisaw came back out the game, but Brian O'Neill definitely did. Yeah, and Jackson is injured at the moment because he injured his hand against. I think it was against the Bears, and then they played him the next week, and they were like, it'll be fine, but it wasn't.
Yeah,
so he's out as well. So when you've got 3 starters on offense, your offensive line, people underrate that position, but it's always great to have consistency. That's where you want consistency on that line.
Yeah, massively, and this is the platform for so many things. Let's get into the game on Sunday a little bit. We've kind of touched on it a little bit already, but the Vikings are playing. I guess it's a road game, but it's the Browns. The Vikings are favourites for this one, 3.5 points, over under 36. Vikings looking to bounce back at Spurs. Minnesota hoping to wipe away Dublin disappointment and end the trip 1-1. Browns hope Gabriel is the angel they've been after at quarterback. So the Browns are playing Dylan Gabriel. That was announced earlier today that they're going to sit Joe Flacco and play Dylan Gabriel. Does that kind of throw just a little bit of, because you kind of know what you're getting with Joe Flacco and you know what you're going up against. Is the unknown just something that makes planning a little bit more difficult, do you think, for the Vikings this week?
Maybe, but I think Brian Flores is licking his lips at having a rookie quarterback back there. I could see him salivating with like, I am gonna get after this guy so hard, he's not gonna know what's hit him.
Yeah, it feels a rough one for the Browns to throw a rookie QB into in the international game against the Vikings kind of defensive front and the blitzes that Brian Flores loves to draw up. So yeah, it does feel a bit mean, but I guess you got to take the plunge at some point. Obviously the Vikings have been so good in these international series games. So that one against the Steelers was the first one that they've dropped, 4-1. Again, are you expecting this to be a comfortable day's work for the Vikings, and how do you think they kind of go after beating the Browns here?
Yeah, the Vikings never make it comfortable, but that Browns defense is no joke. I think the team that gets up by 2 scores first, no matter who it is, they win the game, because the other team will be chasing, and that will play into the defense's hands. So who gets up by 10 points or something like that, they will win that game, and it will probably be in a handy fashion, because they'll play straight into that the opposing defense's hands, and that works for the Vikings or the Browns.
Yeah, you get into that kind of where we saw that for the Steelers on Sunday against the Vikings, where they had to get into that real pass heavy, pass focused offense, and that's when TJ Watt got going and others on the line. Similar for the Browns or the Vikings. It's a great point, John. Like I said, we're kind of 4 weeks in now. But kind of, again, with the injuries and potentially players stepping up, who's somebody for the Vikings maybe that we know about the stars, we know about your Justin Jeffersons and so on, but who's somebody maybe we should be looking out for this Sunday who might have sort of a big impact on the game, given kind of the shuffling around the Vikings are having to do at the minute?
Well, you've got Naylor, who's a top wide receiver, I reckon, very, very underrated. And Mason's been playing really well. The running back, how we got him off the 49ers, I don't know. How they let him walk out the building, I don't know. But obviously they've got a lot of cap problems over there at the moment, so they obviously couldn't afford to keep him. But I say Rodgers, cornerback. I mean, he against the Bengals, as I've already said, he played an absolute blinder, taking a pick six in, recovering a fumble, and then running it in again, and then knocking out so many balls. Yeah, it's so they would be the people I look at. But also another one, our kicker, Will the Thrill. He is absolutely dynamite. He's the best college kicker ever of all time. He's got that record at the moment. So yeah, we drafted him last year. There are a lot of our fans to be like, why are we drafting a kicker? You draft a kicker because when their careers are over, kickers are the people that put up the most. They're always up there with the top points tallies of all time. So if you've got a top kicker, I mean, you just asked the Ravens what it was like to have Tucker for all those years. I mean, I've never seen another kicker's name on the back of shirts, but you can always guarantee you'll see at least one Tucker on a Ravens shirt.
Yeah, obviously very, very important. Ultimately, we see it so often in one score. The Vikings are the kings of the one-score game in recent years in the NFL. We've seen them have such a good record, so having that kind of special teams weapon in Will Rijkaard, I think is very, very important, and worth a win or two across the course of a season. Again, as a Cowboys fan, we know how important Brandon Aubrey is to us in terms of being able to make kicks that just others, a lot of other kickers simply can't, and it's good for a win or two over the course of the NFL season. Give us a score prediction then, John, if that's all right. Give us a score prediction for Sunday against the Browns.
I think I'll go for 27-17.
27-17,
obviously. I'm not going to say Browns, am I really?
Of course, with 3 years of doing this show, I don't think we've ever had anyone come on and say their team's going to get beat that week. So, yeah, no, it's to be expected. But hopefully, obviously, you have a great time. Hopefully, your body will have had enough time to recover Saturday night to enjoy Sunday without too much pain. But just give us a shout out again, John. Where can we where can we find the links to donate and help out such a great cause in mind?
Yep, it's justgiving/page/the Purple Pedal. I mean, we've just crossed over into three grand we've raised at the moment. We're looking to do a lot more. So, yeah, it's all going to a great cause, because as any sports fan would know, any sports fan worth their salt would know, mental health can really be a struggle at points.
Yeah, it's a great cause, and once again, congratulations to you guys on what you've done so far. Raised what it was $5 grand, $5 grand last year. You look, if we were at $3 grand already, I think you're going to be there or thereabouts again come Saturday, Sunday. So yeah, everyone, go jump on, go support John, the Purple Pedal UK Vikings page on Instagram's got all the socials. And yeah, if you bump into John at the game on Sunday, or in and around Spurs, give him a big pat on the back and make sure you go donate to Mind. John, thanks ever so much for joining us. Good luck the rest of the way. We'll be keeping an eye on your progress. And we hope to see you get to Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on Saturday afternoon in good shape.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks to John MacDonald there, and best of luck for the rest of the way on the Purple Pedal. Hopefully makes it safe and sound into London at some point tomorrow afternoon, which is the aim, on Saturday, and that you enjoy the game on Sunday. Make sure you go and throw a few quid John's way for raising money for mine. The guys, the UK Vikings guys, managed to raise £5,000 last year for the walk from York to London. So, yeah, well worth sticking around in your pocket, whatever you can spare. And the links to the Just Giving page, it'll be in our episode description. So if you're listening or watching now, then just hit the episode description. The link's in there. Go chuck a few quid their way. They're doing some great work. And yeah, what a lovely guy as well. And hopefully no more punches for John. So let's get into the Vikings Browns bets, because we've talked the game with John, but let's just have a chat through the bets. I just kind of don't really know where to go with this game, just because of the Dylan Gabriel factor. It's a first start. Brian Flores should love it, that defensive front, but then the Browns defense is so good as well, or should be in home games. Vikings have had an advantage being there, so I just don't know. So I'm just going to go defense or special teams touchdown at 3-1. I think both quarterbacks are going to be in trouble, basically in short, and I think there's going to be the opportunity for pick sixes or fumble recovery returns to the house. Might even be a kickoff or punt return. I think it's going to be a low scoring game, and a defensive or special teams touchdown could be a huge swing in this one. So I'm just going to go for that at 3-1. I just really don't know how else to read this game.
Yeah, I like that. And also, as well as Dylan Gabriel, it also seems like it's a completely new and changed line, as it is every week. It feels like for Carson Wentz, which, again, against that pass rush, not what you want to see. Certainly what I would want to see if I was Carson Wentz. What I have gone for is Jordan Addison, 50-plus receiving yards. Jordan Addison, throughout his career, averages 57 receiving yards per game. He's hit over 50 in 7 of his last 9. I think he looked pretty electric to start already in his week 1 against Pittsburgh last week. I believe the stadium is a fast track. Can you confirm, Paul?
Yeah, I think we'll go with Spurs as a fast track.
I heard yeah, so I'm taking that as a smash. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game. The over-under is 36, so it implies it's probably not going to be a high-scoring game. But I think Addison can get loose a couple of times, and that hits 50. Might only be 2 receptions, to be fair, to get there, but he is a real threat and can break players downfield.
Excellent. Joe?
Yeah, I've got Njoku at 50-plus receiving yards, similar to Byron, but with Dylan Gabriel coming in, a solid tight end is usually the best weapon, especially when to get rid of it. Yeah, obviously, he's not started the season amazingly, and Harold Fanning's Jr. stepped up, but I feel like it's an Njoku kind of game. Young quarterback, get it to your reliable tight end, and yeah, 50 yards. I think, like you've mentioned, I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, so it could be where no one gets over 50 yards. It could be that kind of putrid London game, but if anyone's going to do it for the Browns, I think Njoku could be one of them, and hopefully get some yards off the catch. So yeah, I've got Njoku 50-plus receiving yards at 72.
Yeah, I think it's been a while since we've had a completely massive stinker in London, but I feel like this could be the one. This could be the one to break that run. Excellent. Let's move on then to the Sky Sports early game. It's the Denver Broncos, 3.5-point underdogs at the Philadelphia Eagles. Over under is 43.5. Philly hoping wild horses won't drag them away. I was listening to Rolling Stones earlier, so it just felt right for the graphic. The reigning undefeated defending champion Eagles take on the upstart Broncos. Sean Payton's Stallions looking to make a statement with a big win. How are you seeing this one, guys?
Really interesting matchup, yeah. I do favour the Broncos with the 3.5 points. I think they've played better than Philadelphia through this season. Philly are ranked 9 in DVOA. Philly 12. It's not a huge difference, obviously. But I just, we've talked about this a lot. For a 4-0 team, the Eagles look like they've got some real issues. And I think Nick Bonito is playing as well as any defensive player in football this season. His ability to get off the line immediately at the snap, I think, is going to cause issues for Philadelphia. Pressuring Jalen Hurts. Riley Moss is the most targeted player in football so far, though. So it could be a Devonta Smith game more than an A.J. Brown game. I think that might be a really interesting matchup. If Jalen Hurts can get the ball, he's going to have to get it out quickly. So I think, again, bodes well for Devonta Smith. But ultimately, I think the Broncos can hold on and cover here. That is my bet of the day. Bet of the game. We don't need to feature on the overlayers yet. But yeah, I just think maybe the Eagles won't get no satisfaction here.
Excellent. Very good. Joe?
Yeah. I'm leaning the Eagles. I think because it is in Philadelphia, I think that gives them that advantage. I know what you're saying about the Eagles, but I'm not being super impressed with the Broncos. I think Bo Nix, throughout the first 3 weeks especially, was the worst quarterback under pressure. I know this Eagles team doesn't generate that much pressure compared to previous years, especially with Nolan Smith going out. But I think they can, certainly put some issues in Bo Nix's game. So I've got the Eagles. I think it's going to be, again, another scrappy game where they just win back. And with it being 3.5, it's not a crazy high number. So I'm leaning the Eagles, and I think they're going to, like you said, put pressure on that defense, which again, it started off slow. It's getting better, but last week they were playing the Bengals. I think anyone can beat the Bengals, especially with how they're looking now, power rankings, and obviously with this game, it is a revenge game. Vic Fangio is playing against his former team, which is nuts. I was the head coach not that long ago. It feels a hell of a lot longer, but he was the one who drafted Pat Surtain and a few other players who have helped this Broncos team step up and certainly be contenders this year. So I've got the Eagles are going to go 5-0 being at home, and they're going to win by maybe 4 or 5 points. I think it's going to be close to that line, but I think if it was in Denver, I would have flipped this round. But yeah, I'm going the Eagles.
Excellent. Let's have a look at our bets then. I'm with you, Joe. I'm going to take the Eagles minus the 3.5. I'm more a fade of myself. So my overreactions on our review shows have tended to flip quite quickly. That's kind of the whole point of the segment, about having a bit of a exaggerated overreaction. And I was, said the Eagles have got problems. I still believe that's the case. But the Lions, after week 1, came back and put 50 on the Bears. The Lions were my overreaction. The Steelers' defense has turned things around, and Steelers might be okay after I said their winning record under Tomlin might be in danger. I'm going to go with the Eagles and just to fade myself. I'm going to take the Eagles minus the 3.5 after crying out all the problems they've got. I think they're being at home. I think it might be. There's a lot of noise around Philadelphia, unwanted noise. 4-0, but the people of Philadelphia are just never fucking happy. Whether they're shit or they're good, they're still fucking moaning. So, I think this might be one where we see a full polished performance from the Eagles, and I'm going to take him minus 3.5.
I think in Nick Sirianni's first home game in the preseason, he got booed, and he was complaining to his wife afterwards, and his wife said, well, what have you given to cheer about? And it feels like, well, he's kind of given him a bit to cheer about now. Surely he can give him a bit less grief. But Eagles fans are, no, we do not believe in giving people less grief ever. And I do like that as a podcast, we are now fading Paul and fading Charlie. So, Joe, I don't know if it's going to be me or you next to be on the fade list, but 50% of the, 1/3 plus a dog of the way there. As I said, my bet is plus 3.5 Broncos. I already shouted out I wanted to get my no satisfaction joke in, so there we go.
Joe?
Yeah, I've got Dallas Goedert anytime touchdown score at 72. He got 2 last week against the Bucs, and I think, like what Byron mentioned, I think they're going to try and shut down AJ Brown, and I think Devonta Smith might have a good game. But I think that leaves it up for Dallas Goedert, especially in the middle of the field, and how the Eagles have been playing when it's not been humongous plays, but they're getting these huge touchdowns. I think they're going to put, especially against this Broncos defense, I think it's going to be taking time, and then if they can't run it in, throw it to Dallas Goedert. So 72. Anytime touchdown him. Yeah.
Any Rolling Stones gags for Dallas Goedert?
You put me on the spot there, haven't you? No.
A Riley Moss, Gabbers, no. Slow down of defensive players. They're not all going to be winners.
No, they can't all be gold, can they? Excellent. Let's move on. It was a good effort, though. Buccaneers Seahawks is probably the highlight of the late slate. And that's the Sky Sports late game. The Buccaneers 3.5 point. Everyone's just a 3.5 point favorite and underdog this week. Buccaneers 3.5. Is that 3 of the 3 games we talked about? Yeah, so far, yeah. Yep, 3.5 point underdogs. Seahawks total is over under 45.5. Are the Seahawks set to sink the pirate ship? The banged up Bucs head to Seattle light on crew members as they face the soaring Seahawks, who look like they are starting to put it together. I was quite pleased with that. That was quite good.
Spelling crew is an interesting one, but other than that, yeah.
Well, it's how the books sell. That's how the books do it.
Oh, is that how they do it?
Yeah.
My apologies. Crew. Great knowledge.
Yeah, and they spell it like that. Yeah, there you go. Glad one of us is on the ball. Yeah, what do we make with this one? I think these are two teams that I think, as a collective, really, really like.
Yeah, definitely. I was very high on the Seahawks. I have them at 6 in our power rankings, which is propelling them up. I'm not sure exactly what your numbers were, but I think they're into our top 10. A team I'm struggling with because in the offseason I thought they'd completely blown it, but they're playing really good football. They're bullying people around. They have the second best point differential in the league. They are plus 11 per game. They have the best against the spread numbers in the league as well. I just think they're doing a really good job. Sam Darnold looks competent. JSN, I'll continue shouting out, looks like a top 10 receiver. I think he's going to be a top 5 fantasy wide receiver the rest of the way, especially PPR scoring. And my only issue with the Bucs is that they are beaten up. I still have them as a top 10 team in my power rankings. I can't remember exactly where they finished now overall, but in the top 10 certainly. I just really worry for them. This is, I think, not a matchup you want when your team's in this kind of fragile state, going across the country against a really physical team, especially that front seven of the Seahawks. Yeah, I'm taking Seattle in this game because of that, really. I just think their play matches up well against the Bucs right now. In another part of the season where the Bucs were fully fit and the Seahawks aren't, I'd probably lean the other way, but even Baker's not practicing through 2 days this week. I just don't think it bodes well for the Bucs, as great as they are and as much as Baker puts on his back every week.
Yeah, this is a matchup of 9 and 10 in our power rankings. We've got the Bucs at 9 and Seahawks at 10. Joe?
Of course.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting game in terms of, the Seahawks have won the last 3, but it has been against, I know the Steelers have certainly last week, but in week two and 1, they weren't looking amazing. The Saints and the Cardinals. So it feels like, okay, you've beaten these, like, I would say, lower teams. Maybe the Steelers now a bit higher, but, now it's to prove it. Can you beat a Bucs team? I think, like you said, the Bucs being so banged up leans it to the Seahawks and obviously being at home. But I think it's going to be a tough challenge for them. I still think that front of the Bucs team is going to stop Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet running the ball. I think we're all a huge Vita Vea fans and everyone on that line. So I think they can keep it close. And Baker just does what Baker does. He keeps games close, even like last week against the Eagles, where it felt like the Eagles were going to run away with it. They got them 2 long touchdowns and made it into a game where they had a chance. So I think the Bucs are going to keep it tight. I think the Seahawks, they're going to lean on, like you said, the JSN, like how many yards he's got versus everyone else. It's he's having a tremendous season. So I think it's getting another big game for him. Egbuka, even last week, it felt like Egbuka was the only target against the Eagles, but he still managed to get him the ball and hit them huge touchdowns. So yeah, I think it's going to be a really interesting one, and it's for the Seahawks to show, can you compete with the one of the best teams in the NFC? I feel like the Bucs have done that against some of the big teams, but now it's Seahawks' chance to also show that as well and get to 4-1, which will be joining either the Rams or 49ers and join first place. So yeah, just got to keep it going.
Yeah, and I think this one, my worry is just that the Bucs are so heavily banged up. Obviously, Bucky Irvin's now, I think he's going to miss at least this week, possibly some more. So, yeah, not good. Just running to our bets, I'm still going to take the Bucs plus 3.5 despite that. I think they just find a way. There's just something about they're coached really well. I think Todd Bowles is starting to maybe get a bit more credit, I think, as well. He's also lightening up a bit as well, which is also nice to see. But they just find ways to stay in games or be in games, and for some weeks maybe that's not been a good thing, like the Jets when they should have probably blown them out. But I think at 3.5, 3.5, I like it. If it was 3 or 2.5, I think I'd be leaving it. But I think a field goal plus, I think the Bucs will just keep it close. I think they'll probably get beat out, but I think they'll keep it within the 4.
I've gone Torrey Horton anytime touchdown. Electric first 2 weeks, cooled off a little last week, but I think he can be really useful against Todd Bowles' blitz. If it's not JSN, somebody's got to catch something downfield. And my bet is that it's Torrey Horton getting himself in the end zone again. 4-1 that price is.
Yeah, just talk about Jason. I've got Jason 2+ TDs at 10-1. He's been scoring, a number of. I think he's got one touchdown, but so I think he's like one game it might pop off. So against the Bucks, I think he's got a chance. And yeah, I'll do like a 10-1 because he is their main target, and it feels like they always go to him. And I think the run game's not going to have as much effect as it has the last few weeks, just because how the Bucks have been playing. So they're going to throw it up for him to get the opportunity.
Excellent. Right, let's head to Sunday Night Football, over to the AFC East. Patriots are 8-point underdogs at the Buffalo Bills. Over-under is 48.5. Patriots hoping to make it a May Day for Bills. Can Vrabel's squad stop Buffalo roaming and pulling away in the AFC East before the first month of the season is in the books? The AFC East needs the Patriots to win this game, because otherwise, Bills are 5-0, and the Patriots and possibly the Dolphins are going to have 2 wins. And we're 5 weeks in, and the 3 games, 3 games clear with multiple division, with a win over all 3. The AFC East needs this, otherwise it's done. I mean, I think it's done anyway, but like we need something. Like if the Patriots can close it to 1, we might get a bit more life out of the AFC East, maybe.
Very succinctly said, yeah. It very much needed. The Bills are gettable on defense, I do feel. I think it's just going to be a case of, can they slow down Josh Allen enough? Really, really big ask. Obviously, lights out against the Panthers last week. Very different challenge this week against the Buffalo Bills. I think you've got to favour the Bills to win the game. 8 is an awful lot, though. I found this one really tough to pick against the spread, truthfully. I lent the Patriots, but I kind of think that might be a little overreaction in my head to not picking the Bills to cover against us. I did pick the Bills to cover against Saints and regretted it instantly. So I think I might be double dipping in the wrong direction there.
Yeah, I feel like, again, if this was 10+, I'd be taking the Patriots to cover, because the Bills just don't cover. I don't know what it is. When they see that number, they just don't fucking cover it. But anything up to that, they're pretty good with. So, yeah, I mean, I've let the Bills. I've not been strong enough as yet to bet it, but I kind of think it's anything up to 9.5. I think I'm good for the Bills to cover it, weirdly, because as soon as it just flips to 10, they're fucking shit. Joe?
Yeah, I was similar. I struggled with this one in terms of like the spread, just because, we always say Bills play with the foot. I think it is down to Josh Allen. If he just has that kind of game where he just plays the full 60 minutes, how he can do, they'll put up 34 points. But he always feels like the Bills they start strong, they score like a touchdown or 2, like they get 14 up, and then they just don't do anything for a quarter or 2. And it feels like they don't have that plan B in terms of, if Allen's not going incredibly, what else can we do? Because I think everything we've resolved around him. I think the Patriots can keep it close for a while. I've got a feeling there could be some points here just because the Bills' defense has not been, amazing. Obviously, I wasn't here for the review, but, the Saints were in that game, like watching that game. The Saints had chances, like they went up and down. They had that terrible interception from Chris Olave throwing the ball. If the Saints could do that, why can't this Patriots do that as well and just take some of them chances to keep it close? But I feel like they're just going to pull away just because it is the AFC East clash. That the Bills are just thinking, let's just get this win. Let's get 5-0 and put a rubber stamp on this, and we can cruise and maybe get that AFC number 1 seat, because all the other big challenges I feel like have faded away or not started amazingly. So why not just take control now?
Yeah, and weirdly, I think it matches the element of it being on Sunday Night Football might just keep the Bills at it, oddly. Yeah. I know we've had a Thursday night game where they weren't at it necessarily against Dolphins, but Sunday Night Football is a bit different, isn't it? So, yeah, I think that might help. Whereas, if this was at 1 o'clock and the Patriots could be live, weirdly. Obviously, it's one of the last Sunday Night Football games they're going to get at Orchard Park, or whatever sponsor name we're calling it now. Before they move to new stadium. So, yeah, I think the Bills, I think they're going to take care of business here, but I don't like the number. Let's move on to our bets, because I'm going to go under 48.5. I think we might be getting fooled by the Patriots offense. I just don't think they're very good offensively. They're not giving Henderson the ball enough for me. I know we're going to come to that in a second. They're not giving Traven Henderson the ball enough at this point, which I still find strange given the struggles that Stevenson has had, particularly keeping hold of the football and what they're getting. Patriots have had good offensive output against the Panthers, who are trash, and the Dolphins. They struggled against the Raiders, who don't have a good defense, and the Steelers, when again, that defense isn't all the way back yet. And it certainly wasn't in week 3 and had all the turnover problems. I think we're more likely to see an offense similar to the Raiders, Steelers games, not the Dolphins, Panthers games. So I'm going to go under 48.5. I'm going to go, Bills maybe just cruise control second half, win comfortably, but not score a load of points. That's kind of where I'm at with it.
Grant. Well, I think Trevion Henderson isn't being featured enough either. But after his first touchdown to start his career last week, I think he gets another one this week. 11-5, just over 2-1. Again, I just think the Bills are attackable, and I think Trevion Henderson is their best weapon to do so. That is despite it being a Stephon Diggs revenge game. I still think Trevion Henderson will be the most featured player for the Patriots out of the backfield. I think Diggs is taking steps to becoming that wide receiver one that Drake May really needs to elevate his game, and Drake May is playing really well, but he needs a wide receiver one. Kind of hypothesized maybe they should look at Trent T. Higgins with the way the Bengals have started the season, but they don't have a big wide receiver one on the roster right now. So I think getting Diggs going and Trevion Henderson getting himself going and getting in the end zone will be huge for them.
And Joe? Just didn't upload Joe back to the screen now.
Yeah, so I'll just say it out loud just because I so I've got a big Josh Allen game being Sunday Night Football. So I've got Allen touchdown, 40+ rush yards, and a passing TD at 16-5. I think just the combination, it feels like he's always getting, I think the touchdown and the passing touchdown, at least one passing touchdown, were both odds on, and then it was just a 40+ rushing yards because it feels like he gets around that mark. Most games just tops it up to just over 3-1, basically. So I can see that happening because I think there was that crazy stat where he's already second for QBs rushing and passing a TD. I think he's just behind Cam Newton, or he's like John MacDonald.
Crazy.
So I think he's going to do that again against the Patriots on Sunday Night Football.
Excellent. Let's move to Monday Night Football then. It is the Jacksonville Jaguars hosting the Kansas City Chiefs. I went the wrong way around then. Chiefs at Jags. Chiefs 3.5-point favourites. Over under is 46.5. Chiefs brace for jungle ambush. The Jaguars head to Arrowhead with momentum. Can they lay down a marker with a winning KC? Will the Chiefs be able to build on explosive offensive showing? Byron, we know you love the Jags. How have you got them going in this one?
Yeah, well, first place I have them going is staying at home. I don't think it'll be a winning KC. It might be a winning JACK.
Oh, what a disaster.
You were doing so well with your puns. You didn't think of accuracy. After your Tampa Bay brag, you've screwed it here, mate.
I'll quickly do it on the fly. The Jags host the Chiefs with momentum. Can they lay down a marker with a win in Jacks? Well, Chiefs, yeah. What? Just edit it out. Edit it out.
That's beautiful, yeah. I mean, I certainly think they can. Of course I do. I'm all aboard the Jacksonville train. Jacksonville played really well to start the season, in my opinion. I don't know how... They've lost one game, and it was to Cincinnati. And Joe Burrow didn't play all of it. And that Joe Burrow team barely beat the Browns. So, I don't quite know, but there's been a lot of funky games this season already, and one in, coming into week 5. So, I'm not going to hold that against the Jags. Really good performance against 49ers last week. And I think the biggest part is Liam Cohen is showing those onions, squaring up to Robert Saleh when there's 12 people between them. He's being big boy. And I better tell you what, that'll have got some pop in the locker room, though. Players like that kind of thing, whether they should or they don't. Players do like it.
Do you think you would have seen like the faux hold me back sort of thing that was going on? Because if nobody's between them, Robert Saleh buries Liam Cohen. Like...
He would get knocked out.
But his team has just whooped the 49ers. They handled them on the line, both lines, really. I think the Jags played really well. The all-line is protecting Trevor Lawrence really well. The only thing holding them back is Trevor Lawrence for a number 1 pick. Quite funny to see it. Travion Walker is not their worst first-round number 1 overall pick in recent years in terms of performance, but he might miss this game. Had wrist surgery recently. He's day-to-day according to Liam Cohen. I think this is a really interesting matchup. The Chiefs are getting into form with Xavier Worthy coming back. Defense looks to be improving. But I still think the Jags can beat them, especially in Duval.
There we go.
Not in Arrowhead. And it is time for, this to make a change because the Jags have lost the last 2, 4, 6, 8 against the Chiefs. The last time they beat the Chiefs was November 8th, 2009. And do you know what was you number one anywhere? Germany, Canada, Australia, America, or the UK? None of them are classics, so I'll give you a number of options.
Well, for some reason, I thought when you doing the 2, 4, 6, 8, that was going to be a clue somehow pulling it back.
No, in my head it was the last 6 games, and then it looked like too many. It was the last 8, not the last 6. I was like, I'm sure I counted it as 6 earlier, but yeah, it's the last 8.
Give me the date again. It was when? 2009 when? Sorry?
8th of November 2009. So there's nothing festive, I'll tell you that. But it's a good year, I think, for pop music. There's some pretty kind of bangers.
2009.
Yeah, you'll been young lads at the club back then. I'm sure you'll have heard these there.
Never quite my vibe. 2009. I don't know. Pitbull with Summit. I don't fucking know.
I'm gonna go Kings of Leon, Sex on Fire. That was around then, wasn't it?
Both incorrect, but you feel more right spiritually, Joe, even though it's not close to any of those songs, but it's not Pitbull. So in the UK, it was JLS, Everybody in Love, Put Your Hands Up.
How was that closer to Kings of Leon?
Well, it was a banger.
All right. Okay.
And you said something Pitbull. Owl City Fireflies in the US, another track, bit of Postal Service vibes. In Australia, it was the Black Eyed Peas, Meet Me Halfway. In Germany, it was Robbie Williams' Bodies, a song I don't even know. And in Canada, it was David Guetta featuring Akon. We all know what that one was, right?
No.
Obviously not. It was Sexy Chick, apparently.
There you go.
So congrats to David Guetta and Akon. But yeah, Everybody in Love, which is really me with the Jacksonville Jaguars this season.
Excellent. Yeah, bets. Sorry, Joe. Go on. Byron took over with his number one. Sorry, Joe.
In our text chain, when Byron had the Jags number 5, I think my first reaction was, Jags number 5? That's nuts. I struggled with the Jags. I watched that game fully last week, and I just wasn't impressed with Trevor Lawrence in that offense. When you actually look at it, like comparing numbers, Buck threw 306 yards, Lawrence 174, efficiency on third downs 4 for 14. They got 4 turnovers. So before the last one, 3 turnovers, and the Niners were driving to win that game. I think they just defensively, their takeaways, I think they're number 1. I think they've got more takeaways in 4 weeks than they have all of last year. I think that's a huge. If that's what your record of turnovers is, you should be 3-1. If they weren't 3-1, we'll be like, what the hell's happening? So I struggle with them. I think the 49ers were able to pass all over them. I thought, they got the 2 interceptions, but Brock was managed to pass it. And I think the Chiefs are going to be able to do the same. I think it's going to be a huge, worthy game. And especially now you mentioned that Walker might be not playing as well, to just give Patrick Mahomes that little bit of extra time. I'm leaning the Chiefs heavily on this one. I think the Chiefs are I think they've showed it against the Ravens. What they want to do is put another a stamp on this to get to 3-2, because I think if they lose this, then you're like, was last week just smokes and mirrors? But I think they've turned it around that way, and I think because Trevor's just not impressed me at all. I don't think it played amazingly last week. That I think this Chiefs defense can also cause them issues as well. So yeah, I'm going with the Chiefs.
Excellent. Let's go to bets. So despite the fact that the Jags only give up 18 points a game so far, and the Chiefs only give up 19 points a game so far, I've gone the over 46.5. I think it's going to end up being quite a fun game on Monday Night Football. So I think the Chiefs, again, you've got to look at who it was against. Obviously, the Ravens defense has been a mess, but I think there's more chance that the Chiefs carry some of that offensive production with them, with the fact that obviously it's more about the personnel that they had missing that are now back, with more to come, of course. But yeah, and I think the Jags can score. I think they've got what you need to be able to do to kind of score against the Chiefs. So yeah, I'm just going to go over 46.5, and let's have a really fun Monday Night Football game.
Yeah, I'll go with the Chiefs' best rusher to score a touchdown again at 7-2. Patrick Mahomes, anytime TD, 7-2. I think I'm going to take it every single week until they drop it in price. He didn't score last week, but he will again this week.
Joe?
Yeah, just I think it's going to be a big Worthy game. I've got 100 plus receiving yards. I think obviously last week was his first week back. I think you could tell enough in week 1 as well. That game plan was all about Worthy against the Chargers. Obviously, he gets injured on the first play, which I think ruined their complete offense. So I think another week under his legs, that I think the game plan is going to be heavily on Worthy, where it's he gets a lot of the ball, maybe a lot of screens and that kind of game plan. I think the only thing you worry about is if he has rushing yards as well as receiving yards, that there might be some in the playbook that way. But yeah, 100 plus receiving yards at 92, I think, and he could hit a big one as well. I think that's the thing with Worthy, which I like them odds.
Excellent, good stuff. So that's our London Sky Sports and Primetime games done. We're going to hand over to our second guest now. We've got Phil Marsh from the Huddle UK, the website that I did the Cowboys writing for. Phil's a big Chargers fan, so we're going to focus on Commanders Chargers for this bit, and Phil is also going to take on our fourfold challenge. So here's over to me and Phil. We've got our next guest, a bumper episode we've got not one but two guests. Phil Marsh joining us from Huddle UK. That is where I write my Cowboys articles for. Great website. Phil is the founder. Phil, welcome back. We've had you on before. We had you on last season after we first got to know you. First of all, how are you doing?
I'm very well. I'm hoping for a better performance this time around than last year's. Last year's appearance, but no, very, very, very well. It's been great having football back. I feel like I say that every time on our podcast, but it really is a long off season. We make the most of it, don't we, with researching the rookies, the draft, and then OTAs and all the rest of it. But even preseason doesn't quite hit like the regular season does. So really enjoying it. It's nice to be growing the community with you guys and everyone else. So really. And thank you for having me back on. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, no, it's great and good to kind of be sitting down and talking football with you again, Phil. And it's probably coming up to about 12 months, I think, since sort of the Huddle UK started, or certainly since I got involved with writing the Cowboys articles for the site. How's it been so far? Again, kind of around that 12-month mark, and it'd be great to kind of hear about the growth recently, because you seem to be really gaining a lot of momentum with Huddle UK recently.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't like overly plug in, but yeah, it's been a fantastic 12 months. It is 12 months. In October, a bit later this month, will be exactly a year since I sort of set up all the websites and the social media for the first time. We've got that situation now where we're having to renew all the domain names and etc. of that stage of the project. But I don't think I could have hoped for a better year. And it's not about, numbers are nice. It's always nice when you see a lot of views and a lot of likes on posts and stuff. But it's been more the community and the growth, which has been lovely to see. We started off with a couple of writers. The first few weeks was just myself, and then I had the sort of idea or the plan to expand it. Yourself were one of the first people to jump on board as a team. And as of last week, we got back up to 32 writers, so one for every single team in the NFL. Took a while to find Texans fans. I'm sure you've got Texans fans listening. Make sure to join the huddle, because if we do have that spot open up again, we're going to need you. So it's great to have that. The numbers, I mean, I emailed you and a few of the other writers last night. The growth from just last month to this month when the season started was excellent. And some of the guests we've had on, I mean, Austin Eckler coming on the podcast was
that's so cool.
A dream come true. It was funny. I spent the whole time and with this setup, got a few bits of signed merch. I've got like a signed Austin Eckler helmet, which sits next to where I do everything. And he's on the screen, we're chatting, and I'm trying to not go over the top with all my Chargers-ness as I try and do. I fail miserably. If you've ever listened to the Huddle UK podcast, I always say, I'm not going to wear my Chargers hat, and then I can't help it. That's where I always lean. That's where the heart lies. The heart wants what it wants. But no, as you touched on, the Huddle has been fantastic. It's been some great interactions. We've had some great guests on the podcast. Eckler is the big name. That's the name. That's the episode, which unsurprisingly has had the most views. But Travis Clayton and Mapala Wantz are both British-born guys over there in the NFL. Clayton with the Bills, and Wantz are on the practice squad for the Panthers. Those guys are great to talk to. And, that's part of why we set this up, was to have the UK aspect of the NFL as well as talking about the games themselves. So, loving it. I'm hoping it goes from strength to strength. It's nice to have the London games now as well. to grow that community and trying to do a little bit here in South Wales as well.
Excellent. Yeah, great. Look, I'm pretty cool. Once I saw, you teased who the big guest was going to be, and when it was Austin Eckler, it's like, I've been on the same podcast series as Austin Eckler. That's cool. So yeah, we're taking from it as well. But yeah, I think it's a great job that you've done, Phil, so far, and I'm sure it will, and long may it continue. I'm really enjoying writing. It's something that I never had done before, and with your help and a bit of guidance and feedback and stuff, you've helped me a lot, so appreciate it, and long may I continue writing some decent Cowboys articles for you. I've got a tie to write about this week that I still need to get done, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, I mean, what a game. So Sunday was, there's some great, I mean, football is such a funny sport, isn't it? The when everything looks like where everything lies, and in the NFL 1 week completely changes the script. And I was saying on the recording for our podcast this week that after that Packers Cowboys game, Jerry Jeudy sort of gloating that he'd won the trade and saying, "See, I knew we didn't need it," is hilarious to me. I know that's your team, the Cowboys. I just find it very funny from the outside looking in.
If you don't laugh at this point, you'll cry. So like you've got to laugh along with it. It's crazy because I don't think the Packers punted the entirety of the second half or overtime. So yeah, could have really done with a Micah Parsons-esque pass rusher to kind of close that game out. But hey ho, what can you do? And give us a shout out then, Phil, just before we move into, I suppose, the charges, which we're going to talk about primarily, and the fourfold challenge that you're taking on for us. Where can we find everything for Huddle UK?
Yeah, on the most parts, we're on any social media. If you're on it, we're there at Join the Huddle UK. So Twitter is where we have our most interaction, our most fun. But we're also on Blue Sky, on Instagram. TikTok is the same, all as that same handle, which you can see on the screen underneath me here at Join the Huddle UK. If you're on YouTube, where you can see the podcast and all the clips from it as well, that's just simply Huddle UK. Hopefully the algorithm, the search engine finds us, and we're going up higher and higher if you search for that name. And the same on Facebook as well, just Huddle UK. So yeah, it's the app that Join the Huddle. Unfortunately, someone beat us to it on X years ago in an inactive account. I've been trying to get in touch with old Elon and get that account removed so we could step into it, but not quite yet. And of course, the website, which is the main thing, is www.huddleuk.com. Over there, you can see all the articles from all 32 writers, as well as the podcast. You can listen to it directly through the website, as well as on Spotify and everywhere else. But we encourage you to go to the website itself, get it from the source.
Excellent, good stuff. Phil, you are, as we've touched on, a LA Chargers fan. 3-1, surprising loss in week 4 against the Giants. What do you make of kind of the season so far from the LA Chargers?
I wish you had me on last week. That's how I feel. But because, as I said a moment ago, it's funny how 1 week changes everything. After week 3, we beat the Broncos. It was a tough game, but we beat the Broncos after a convincing win against the Raiders, and then that week 1 win in Brazil against the Chiefs. And I was on cloud 9 of seeing Tom Brady put the Chargers 3rd in power rankings, everyone consensus top 5 team. And I even said on the UK podcast that came out the day before the Giants game, only Chargers fan know that this is going to be a defeat against the Giants. Every single NFL pundit, when they show it on the screen and they show all 10 pundits' predictions, it was just lightning bolts everywhere. Nobody said the Giants. And that strikes terror into Chargers fans because we know what happens next. And unfortunately, the same old story reared its ugly head on Sunday. We lost Slater at the start of the year, season-ending injury. And then Joe Alt now going down, who moved from right tackle to left tackle to replace Slater. Him going down is, it's not the season ending, but it's right now competitiveness ending. I don't think we're going to get blown out in many games. I still think the team's is good and competitive, but Justin Herbert being upright and giving him time, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He showed that through the first 3 weeks. His numbers were on an MVP scale, and then you lose your best. I don't want to overdo it, but I think Joe Alt was arguably a top 10 offensive lineman in the whole NFL. So when he goes down after your Pro Bowl tackle's already gone down, you're going to be in trouble, whoever you are. Austin Deculus stepped up, didn't do the job half as well as Alt would have done. So Yeah, that was disappointing. I think, some perspective's important. It is still 3-1. It was the first time the Chargers have gone 3-0 in a long time. Not since I've started watching the NFL have they ever done that. So, it is important. They're still top of the AFC West. It's just added that smudge, I guess. It felt like we were so far clear of the Chiefs, who, despite however good the Broncos and the Raiders are this year, the Chiefs are still the team you need to knock off that perch at the top of the AFC West. So when we had a 2-game advantage over them and we were playing the Giants and they were playing the Ravens, it felt, hold on, we could extend this even further. The exact opposite to that happened. So there were bright sparks, but it was a disappointing week 4, put it that way.
Yeah, it really felt like week 4 could have been not the death knell, but it could have been like just putting yourself 3 games clear of the Chiefs. Potentially had, we were expecting the Ravens to be good, and we're all expecting. We put the mockers on the Chargers as well. When me, Byron, and Joe all back to the same team, ATS, they don't win, they don't cover, and it's just that every time we do it, and it's usually a big favourite like the Chargers were this week, but. Yeah, and now it feels like they're there. The Chiefs are right behind, just 1 game back, and the Chargers have to go to Kansas City later in the year. So still a heck of a long way to go.
But it is. Just to go back to that point, it is a long way to go. I don't want to be all negative Nancy about it because it is still 3-1. Quentin Johnston looks like the first round wide receiver we thought he was going to be 2 years ago. Where did that come from? Nobody knows, really. Wide receiver 4 in fantasy football PPR leagues this year, ahead of some crazy names. It is a wild turnaround. And then on the flip side, you've got Lad McConkey, who only had 1 catch against the Giants. So it's a funny old game, isn't it?
It is indeed. It sounds like Joel is definitely going to miss this week. Doesn't seem like they're going to put him on IR, which is a good sign because that means likely back within the month. With the ankle sprain, but it just feels like the margin for error. They can't really afford to have any more injuries on that O-line because, anybody's O-line in the NFL is going to crumble when you have those kind of injuries. Never mind, you've got the 2 bookends who, Joe Alt's been incredible as well since he came into the league last year. Such a good player. And it's a shame, but hopefully he comes back fighting fit in a few weeks' time. Let's get into the game this week in a bit more detail then. So the Chargers, let's get the right overlay up. There we go. The Chargers host the Commanders. Chargers are 3-point favourites for this one. We're expecting to get Jaden Daniels back this week. I think we'll see. But against 3-1 Chargers, 2-2 Commanders. Who is going to take command and get back on track? After a shock defeat, can the Chargers, with all their O-line injuries, bounce back? Or will the return of QB Daniels inspire the Commanders to a win? How are you feeling about this one? If it feels like a pivotal game for both teams, kind of given where they're at the minute.
Yeah, massively so. As someone who's got a lot of stock in Jaden Daniels in many fantasy leagues for the last 2 weeks, he screwed me over by not playing, and now he's playing against my team. And the day we're recording this on Wednesday, he's been cleared to practice again. So it sounds like he's going to be back. It sounds like McLaurin is going to be back as well. So this is going to be a pretty much full-strength Commanders side. How do I feel? I don't know. It's really hard to say, isn't it? Because the strengths that was still the Chargers' strengths are still there. I like Amarian Hampton. I like what Herbert's doing, and the defense is still very, very good. Last week, they were against that unknown factor, weren't they? They had Cam Scatterby, who is turned into one of my favorite players in the NFL. Not as a Giants fan. I just think he's hilarious. He reminds me sort of an old-fashioned rugby centre where you're not going to try and sidestep people, you're just going to try and run through them. And he's got that mentality. So I'm pleased to see him succeeding. I liked him coming out of college. And then Jackson Dart, there was not any NFL film on him and what they were going to do with him. So you have to take that into consideration, I think, with the defeat on Sunday, whereas the Commanders, we know what's going to happen. We've seen this now with Daniels, and that doesn't mean it's going to be easy to stop, but it is more predictable, let's say. And Jesse Minter has had this Chargers defense looking very good, particularly those first 3 weeks of the season. If you take out that one big shot to Cortland Sutton at the end of the first half against the Broncos, the defense was near perfect. So, how do I think it'll go? I am surprised to see the Chargers favourites. I will say that. I do understand why, but I think if this game was away from home, they wouldn't be favourites considering the fact they've just lost to the Giants. It would be great to see them get back on track. I think there is certainly scope for them to do so. And I just get more of a feeling this isn't going to be the high-scoring game people think it will be. I think it will be a bit more nitty-gritty like the Broncos game was at home.
And is that what maybe the Chargers kind of have to do over these next few weeks while they're managing the O-line, is lean on that defense a little bit more, maybe play a little bit more field position, see a lot more of Amari and Hampton to be able to kind of maybe just grind out wins as opposed to, the leaning on Herbert and having him throwing it around.
Yeah, absolutely. And on the defensive side of the ball, they're out Khalil Mack at the moment. So they'll get him back soon. I think he went on IR. I think it's 2 more weeks and he can come back. Tui Tuipulotu has stepped up and done quite well. Tia Tart looks like an absolute menace on that defensive line. Every Chargers fan will always love him for slapping Travis Kelce in week 1. Sorry to any Swifties listening to this podcast. But yeah, Deion Henley, I wrote about it for the Huddle UK website, particularly in those first 3 weeks, was in all-pro form. I think he goes under the radar because Derwin James rightly takes a lot of the limelight on the defense. Understandable. He's exceptional, been one of the best safeties in the league for years now. But Deion Henley is very, very good. And the Chargers have, I was watching a real in-depth analysis about this. They've put a lot of stock in not getting big names, but filling their defense with quality that aren't your household names. So I've been really impressed, particularly with the cornerbacks this year, even not necessarily the guys at the top of the depth chart, but Taheeb Still has been good. St. Juice has been good. Tony Jefferson's looked good. And Dante Jackson as well. And, as I said, these aren't your more common names in the NFL. But when you add the common names of Henley, Khalil Mack, and Derwin James, if they're fit, this is, for me, a top 5 defense. So, yeah, to go back to your point, while the offensive line is struggling and while Herbert is going to need all the help in the world from the defense, that's how they're going to have to win games at the moment. So get Daniels under pressure however you can. They haven't looked as explosive on offense this season as they were last year. So that gives me some hope, and being at home as well. But yeah, this is going to be a really tight game for me.
Yeah, and there's a big reliance, and the Commanders saw a lot of success last season, was the deep ball and the big plays. And they, even before Daniels and McLaurin both were out injured, that they just didn't seem to be clicking the first couple of weeks. The rate of success they had on them last year was so difficult for that to continue long term. And it feels like that's then been the struggle where they haven't been having the huge, field changing plays, and they need to find other ways to do it. And that's maybe the adjustment that the Commanders are sort of going through at the minute. You can't just solely rely on that at all times. So that's part of Jaden Daniels' development, and they need to find different ways to move the ball. But yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of potentially low scoring Chargers grinding out wins. Low scoring 1 possession wins, I think, might be the call for the day for the next month or so for the Chargers until they kind of get back right. Do you want to give us a score prediction, Phil, for the game?
Oh, I hate doing this because it's purple, but I ask everyone else to do it. So do I go with heads or my heart here? I'll go with my heart for once. I tend to be quite analytical, so I'll go with the Bolts. I will say 21-19, really close.
Nice, 21-19, excellent. So Chargers win, but do not cover. So does that make them a great team? It doesn't in our eyes, but we'll see as we go down the line the rest of the way. Speaking of covering and lines, you're taking on our 4-fold challenge. It is difficult, Phil, and we haven't hit one yet so far. We're 4 weeks in, and me, Joe, Byron still haven't hit one. Byron's been close a couple of times. He's had a couple of 3-and-1s where just one leg has let him down. It is difficult to do. At the end of the day, it works out. It's a 12-to-1 bet, so it is hard to do, and it is hard to hit. So, yeah, I've got to remind myself every week, this is a ridiculous challenge that we set ourselves. And me, Byron, and Joe draft the picks as well, which makes it even harder because we can't have the same ones. And usually we're going against each other in some of them as well because one of us likes one side and the other the other. So, but what have you got for us this week then? Do you want to start off with your favourite from the week 5 slate? How are we at week 5 already as well? That's crazy.
Yeah, it's flown by, hasn't it? My favorite, I think is the biggest favorite, but I just think the number it will be a lot more, and that's the Lions 10.5 point favorites against the Bengals. And I don't want to beat a horse when it's down, but the Bengals just look bad, don't they? They can't get anything going on offense. We knew the defense wasn't going to be great. Ironically, it seems like the defense has been the highlight over the last couple of weeks. So, yeah, they don't look good. And other than that week 1 game against the Packers, the Lions offense has clicked and looked very, very good against some good teams as well. So, even though it's a big margin, 10.5 points, that's what I saw. You might have a different number on your end, but
we've got it at 10, so you get.
I'll take the half. I'll take the half point. Yeah, I fancied it at 10.5, so I'll take it at 10 as well. With the Lions.
Yeah, Bengals have got a decision to make, relatively soon. I think about whether they do something at the quarterback position and try and get something else in, because Jake Browning has shown shown in the past maybe he's good for he can be good for a couple of weeks, or they put everything in chasing the Super Bowl quite quickly in terms of the contracts for T. Higgins and Chase and things like that, and Trey Hendrickson getting him back for the year. Did they start selling things off for parts now? So are Hendrickson and T. Higgins prime trade candidates, or do they do something at quarterback to give them a chance?
We've said on the last 3 Huddle UK podcasts that we'd love to see Jameis Winston go there, because at least it would be fun. Because no Bengals fan has enjoyed any of this last 2 weeks. It's been misery. They conceded the most points they've ever conceded in week 3. And then if you give me 30 seconds, because our Bengals writer, Sean, wrote up about the debacle of Monday night, and he had a stat. So Denver had 512 yards of offense compared to 159 for Cincinnati. They didn't cross midfield after the first drive in which they got a field goal.
Yeah.
And that's against the Broncos. I think the Lions are arguably a better team than the Broncos. So good luck to the Bengals. I don't have any ill wish towards them, but just get Jameis Winston in. At least Jamar Chase is going to have 2 or 3 games where he goes absolutely nuclear in fantasy football, and it'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, I have the same thought. Byron and Joe tell me I'm crazy for wanting Jameis Winston to go there, but I'm with you. I've called out a few times. You need to go do something. What's the point of having Higgins and Chase there? They're your best 2 players. Give them somebody who's going to at least give them the chance to make plays, because that's how you're going to win. You're going to have to win some crazy games. You need your best 2 players. The ball needs to get to them, and I think that's the man who can. So we'll see. But if they're going to move, they need to move quickly, because otherwise they're just burning daylight. Burrow's going to be back for the last month, maybe. If they can be somewhere near 500, they've got a shot. If not, it's just another wasted year. Cool. So Lions -10 is your favourite. Who's your underdog? Who do you fancy to maybe cover as an underdog, or even cause an upset?
So I was looking at a few games. I've just had the notification come through that Brock Purdy, Ricky Pearsall, and Shawn Jennings are all out of the Thursday night football game against the Rams. So I'm going to stay well clear of that game, and I'm sure the lines would have changed on it. My underdog pick, interestingly, I think are the team that are going to win regardless of the spread. And I'm going to go to this side of the pond. I'm going to stay in London, and I'm going to say the Browns I've got +4.5 on my list. I'm not sure if that's the same as what you've got.
+3.5, unless it's updated. Let's have a look. So we've got +3.5.
Okay, I'll still take it. Browns
going to win outright. You fancy them to win outright.
I fancy them to win outright. Yes. So I think the Browns. Carson Wentz looked all right on his first Vikings game, and then not so much in Dublin. I really rate the Browns defense, and I think in a similar vein that Jackson Dart offered the Giants something fresh on offense against the Chargers last week, I think Dylan Gabriel will do something similar. It's harder to prepare as a defensive coordinator when you don't really know what you're going into. And Quinton Judkins, if you ignore all the off-field stuff, looks like a great running back. My sort of running back, I love that. Just run it down your throat sort of guy, and reminds me of when Nick Chubb was there in his really early days as well. So, I think the Browns got a real shot to win this game regardless of the spread. So, give me the extra field goal, and I fancy them.
Yeah, usually tie relatively low-scoring games, the London games as well. Or there have been certainly over the last few years. So, yeah, I get that. I think that Browns defense, I'm interested to see, because we've seen this split of Browns at home versus Browns on the road, but this is a home game on the road. So I'm not sure how it's going to go. But
well, the Vikings are 4 for 4 in London. So,
yes.
And it's the first time they've ever had a rematch of the same game in London. And the Vikings obviously won quite convincingly at Twickenham against the Browns many years ago. So, I hope I'm going against the form book on that one.
Yeah, I think so as well. The Vikings are going to have had the advantage of being there all week as well, of course, having been in Dublin, and then they've posted up in London all week. So interested to see how that goes and what strategy of travel the Browns take, because that's always a discussion point about whether teams get there kind of early in the week or whether they leave it to kind of Thursday, Friday before getting there. But yeah, the defense, it's going to have to be on that Browns defense. And maybe Dylan Gabriel will give them something different. It's not really worked with Joe Flacco. I don't think it's necessarily been down to him. I think they're asking him to throw the ball way too much. And so maybe they get more of a balance and give Dylan Gabriel a shot. So yeah, something fresh for the guys in London to watch and at Spurs on Sunday. So that should certainly be another interesting wrinkle to that game.
Yeah, absolutely. And if they can get the RPO stuff going and get Judkins, make it less predictable, I think he can have an even bigger game. And, I think Cedric Tillman's been put on IR, but Jerry Jeudy is still a very good wide receiver. He goes a bit underrated, I think, at times for what he's done. I remember that game last year where he played against the Broncos and went absolutely off against his former team, which was quite funny. Isaiah Bond's the other one who had that, said he was going to break the 40-yard dash time at the combine and then didn't get anywhere near it. But he's shown that he can offer something, and we've all seen the rookie tight end Harold Fanning as well. Yeah. So, I just think if they can get the passing game going, and it's not as predictable as it is with Flacco, they can do enough on offense that the defense will keep them in the game.
Yeah, they cannot expose Dylan Gabriel to the Vikings rush, because we know what the blitz, and if Flores can just keep dialing it up on him, it's going to be a long day and it's going to be a struggle. But yeah, Browns, I'll get there eventually. Browns plus 3.5, underdog. Let's go with your under next, Phil. Then where do you think it might be a bit of a struggle for points this week?
I'm not sure if it'll be a struggle for points on both sides of the ball here, but I'm going to go to Glendale, Arizona, and say the Titans at Cardinals game for this one for my under. Look, Kyler Murray's okay. Marvin Harrison has his moments. He had a brilliant catch. Was that the Thursday night game last week against the Seahawks? Yeah, had an excellent catch.
Last week, didn't he? Yeah.
And also had a couple of shockers, not as bad as the one the week before, which was, very Quentin Johnston 2024 or 2023. But I think the Cardinals will win that game pretty comfortably. The Titans, look, this is a work in progress, but Cam Ward hasn't shown me enough to think that they've got a chance of going there to win that game. That could well prove me wrong. But I don't fancy them. I think Brian Callahan seems totally out of his depth head coach. And I think the Cardinals will get into a lead and then hand it to who we got this week, DeMarcado and Michael Carter, because apparently if you're a running back in Glendale, you're getting injured this season. Sorry to James Conner and Trey Benson. I spent all my fab on Trey Benson, so I'm as good as everyone else to have seen that. So I think the Cardinals go into the lead, much like they did against the Panthers a few weeks ago. But unlike that game, I don't see the Titans fighting back in the fourth quarter. So I think this will be an under.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, that seems fair. And yeah, I had a bit of hope, and I thought maybe the Titans would see some improvement and seen flashes from Cam Ward, but nothing consistent. I don't think that's too much on him. The O-line struggling. And I thought the defense would be good because they've got some difference makers there. It's just not working. And I think you're right. Brian Callahan isn't long for head coaching role in Tennessee or in the NFL. I think it's just been a bit of a disaster. Cool. Okay, let's go to your over then to finish off, Phil. What have you got for us?
I don't know if this is a good decision or not. This is the one that's probably going to turn the most heads. I'm going to go for two of the worst teams in the NFL and go for the Giants at the Saints. It's going to be a ludicrous decision.
Talk to us about this then. Giants Saints, it is, I think, 41, so not too many to get. But yeah, talk to us the logic behind this one.
Do you know what? This does it the logic is not there.
There is no logic.
This is I believe in Cam Scatterboo, and I think that the Giants will score some points early on in this game, and where the Saints are quite good is at just scoring just random plays with Rashid Shaheed. And I think they will put up enough points to get over this low over total. Like if this was 48, I would, 47, I'd be steering well clear. But I think because it's a low mark, the Giants are still early in this, with feel good factor stage with Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterboo. I think that they put up more than 20 points. And so then I'm hoping as the home side that the Saints can do the same, whether that's Alvin Kamara just, pushing them the whole way down the field or just random deep throws to Shaheed or Olave. I hope they keep up. That is purely the logic in that. And that it's shaky logic at best.
No, that's fine. Look, sometimes these games like this just end up exploding. And look, the Saints were right there with the Bills through three quarters last week. I think underrated. We talked about it in our review show just a few days ago. Kellen Moore, I think he's doing a really good job there. Like, obviously, there are no expectations for the Saints to be any good this year, given kind of the difficulties that they have. I think he's doing a really good job with Spencer Rattler. Apart from the awful Philly special attempt last week, called a really good game. And the defense have got enough old heads on them to just kind of do a job and just kind of keep things close. So, yeah, I really do think the Saints are doing okay relatively to the expectation. And they're favoured this week. They're a favourite against the Giants, which might tell you something where both teams are. But, yeah, I think 41 is perfectly reasonable for these for these two. I think both can get to mid-20s, and I expect it to be close. But, yeah, I don't think that's a bad shout for the over. So we've got Lions -10, Browns +3.5, over 41 Giants Saints, and under 42.5 Titans Cardinals. How are you feeling?
I'll take anything better than 1 and 3. Do you know what? If I go 2 and 2, you'll have to get me on next year, and
we'll get there. Yeah.
Come 2027, we'll be flying.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, like I said, these aren't. It's not easy to do this. It's in essence, it's four separate even money bets, because that's the nature of the line. It's difficult to get, four 50-50 calls right in a row. And that's ultimately what you're being asked to do, with many more variables involved than that. So, you know what? Like, I appreciate you coming on. They're well thought out picks, well explained. So naturally, that always gives you a chance. And we'll see how you get on. Hopefully, this is the week that one of us, whether it's yourself or me, Byron, or Joe, hit it, because we need to get rolling. When one comes in, they start coming in bunches then.
We've been, me and the group of mates, as 3 of them, we all, 3 others, so 4 of us in total, we all try and pick a touchdown scorer each week. And we're at a wedding, one of their weddings on Sunday. So we were half watching the games and half watching the touchdown scorers. And the other 3 guys, they all had theirs coming in the early slate. So it was up to me in the evening with Jonathan Taylor. And when he ran in a touchdown, we were all celebrating. We were watching the red zone on our phone when the wife, the bride, wasn't watching. And then we hadn't realised for ages that it had been ruled out for a flag for a hold on Adonai Mitchell. So we ended up not winning, and I was the scapegoat of the entire evening at the wedding then, because we didn't win that bet. So hopefully a redemption this week.
Absolutely. Well, Adonai Mitchell just bowled the Colts full stop last week, didn't he? So bad week for Adonai Mitchell. But yeah, also bad friend of having a wedding during football season on a Sunday.
On Ryder Cup Sunday as well.
Exactly,
We made that point. We made that point very. He got the message. Put it that way.
Attended under protest, I hope. But excellent. Congratulations to the Derby couple, of course. Phil, thanks for joining us. Just give us one last shout out again for where we can find everything for Huddle UK.
Yeah, come join us on the Huddle. It's at Join the Huddle UK. Plenty of stuff. Some great articles have been up recently over on the website, which is simply huddleuk.com. I know not one of your articles, Paul, but Lee, who's the Dolphins writer, now we're getting into bye-week season, wrote an absolutely incredible story about what it's like being an NFL fan in the weeks when your team isn't playing. It's well worth a read. So I would recommend going and checking out that if you fancy a laugh. And as sort of a bit of an introspective look at what it's like on an NFL fan on a Sunday when you're not playing.
Excellent, good stuff. Make sure you come in, come and follow Huddle UK. Check out the website, follow the socials, listen to the podcast, available on all the usual podcast platforms and directly through the website as well. So make sure you are. There is something for you as an NFL fan because every team's covered and amongst other things as well, great topics and great articles outside of team-specific stuff as well. After we finish this, I'll be writing this week's Cowboys article to put on the site. Guess we're going to focus on the feelings of a tie, I think. So we'll focus on that. And hopefully we'll be writing about a win next week when the Cowboys hopefully beat the Jets. But Phil, thanks for joining. Good luck to the Chargers on Sunday and the rest of the way. And wishing you continued success with the Huddle UK.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me on.
Thanks to Phil Marsh there from Huddle UK. Make sure you go follow at Join the Huddle UK over on X, Instagram. Go check out the website, also the podcast as well. How cool is it? He's had Austin Eckler on the podcast earlier before the season started. Shame, obviously, Austin Eckler's injured now, but really cool get. I've been on the same podcast series as Austin Eckler. That's cool. Right, 4-4 challenge. Let's go. So, usual format. You've just heard Phil pick his. So we one favourite, one underdog, 1/1 under from the NFL slate. Try and put it into we do put it into a 12-1 bet, and hopefully we'll hit one. Phil's is on the screen there, and you've just heard it if you were listening. Byron, you're up first. I think we know what you're going to take.
I'm inspired by Phil. Very smart guest we had on, and I think his favourite is guaranteed to smash. Lions -10 at Cincinnati. The Bengals are dog water. The Lions are legit. Not sure how much more we need to say about it, really. I just think Lions are going to come out. They don't play with the food like the Buffalo Bills do. They just take care of business. Maybe another 52-pointer coming up.
Yeah. They should be a lot closer or surpass the line the Bills had against the Saints last week. And why is this only 10? I know it's the Lions are on the road and Bengals are at home, but the Lions were only 9.5-point favourites against the Browns. And, at least they offer some sort of resistance. Like, what? I don't get it. I think this should be somewhere close to 17. It's going to be my biggest bet of the week. Lions -10, so inevitably they're not going to cover. But
you couldn't have said that before I made my pick.
Yeah, sorry, mate. I just don't understand it. -10, smash. I don't know what to do now. I was hoping that was going to come to me, but I'm going to take. I'm going to take the over. Let's ride on Cowboys overs. Cowboys Jets over 47.5. Both defenses stink. Cowboys have the number one offense. Justin Fields may be able to run and throw all over this Cowboys defense, which is worrying. 47.5. Bucket. Cowboys are playing awesome on offense. I'm hoping the defense will get a bit better when they get some reinforcements back, but I don't think that's this week. And hopefully they'll start playing a bit more man defense, but that doesn't seem to be happening either. Matt Eberflus is very much like Ruben Amorim from Manchester United. It's just not going to change the fucking system when it's not working. Over 47.5. Jets home overs have been pretty good. The two Cowboys home games have definitely smashed over, and they obviously somehow the Bears game didn't hit over after the way that was going. So, over 47.5. Joe?
Yeah, like that one. That was one of my overs I was thinking of. So I'm going to go my under because So I've gone Commanders at Chargers under 48. I know Jaden Daniels seems like he's back, but probably the strength is the Chargers defense, and they always usually keep teams in check. And I think the Chargers, with all the injuries on the offensive line, I think it's going to again be another struggle for Herbert. And I think this Commanders defense has improved this year, so I think it's going to be a tighter game. And it being 48, I think it's going to be a low 20s game. So I do like that. I was tempted with the England game, but the UK game, but 36 is way too low. It just feels wrong to go something that low. But
it just takes one. I feel like there is like one big play or one big touchdown, the special teams or defense touchdown, and that really puts you under 36 in big jeopardy. This was my favourite under as well, Joe. So I was hoping I was going to get this on the way back round. So again, probably a bad sign for you, given the way we've been going with the fourfold. But yeah, and where I've been on the totals. So yeah, not good. And what are you taking next?
Yeah, I'm going to go against you with this one from one of your. I'm going to Bills Patriots over 48.5. Patriots Bills over 30.5. So we're going to toss that again. So
yeah,
Monday night points.
Cool. So I'm going to hold. Maybe do I hold on my favorite? No, I'm going to take my favorite now because obviously, Drew, you need to. It might not. Which way does this go? Yeah, it might not come.
Your favorite will definitely come back to you at 8.
It'll come back to me.
I took a favorite.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, yeah. So I'm going to take an underdog then. I'm going to go with. Oh, it's stinky. Give me the New York Giants +2.
Trap. It's a trap.
It is a trap. I think it's a trap. I don't know why the Saints favourite. I don't know. I don't get that. This is maybe more. I'm riding with Byron's bet on the Saints a little bit in terms of. Obviously,
so we feared Charlie, we feared Paul, we back Byron. I like it.
Byron, yeah.
So,
more that maybe the Saints won't not going to win a game until the Panthers. Our first win is against the Panthers in a few weeks' time. I feel like I might have just been sucking in. I loved Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbowl last week. I thought they were both awesome. The numbers didn't say it from a Jackson Dart perspective. But obviously the Giants are going to be a bit easier to play against without Malik Neighbours. But I just think they're going to find a way to get it done. Lean on that defense, get in a position where that defensive line can tee off on Spencer Rattler. Again, I've been a big fan. I think the Saints have been doing, despite them being 0-4, been doing a really good job. Thought they did a good job keeping in the game against the Bills last week. I know they're at home and you get 3 points, don't you, typically at home, but I just don't get why they're a favourite. Really don't get it. So I'm going to take the New York Giants. I feel this could be a funky, low-scoring game as well, so the +2 might be very helpful. Oh, I feel so bad. Right, Byron.
And you're going to be in the bad books as well.
Big time.
I am going to take the under in the desert. Titans, Cardinals, under 42. Titans can barely spot a point. Cardinals can barely get a running back to hold the ball and play more than one game at a time.
You're stopping Phil here, yeah?
Yeah, are you going to do all 4 of Phil's picks, Byron, yeah?
Oh, my goodness. I had no idea. That's incredible. I didn't even realize. Apparently I am, yeah.
Another terrible sign for this fourfold this week.
Sorry, Phil. I'm not taking any other 2, though. Let me tell you that. I don't like the Browns, and I don't like the over in New Orleans, but that is appalling. I'd love the under 48, but it is under 42. It's actually moved to 42. So Phil has outdone me on value as well as getting the picks in before me. Good to Phil. Yeah, ugly matchup. The Titans, I think, will want to get things right on offense, but I would like to get $1 million. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. I'm not sure it is for the Cardinals either. So that one, I'm pretty happy with. And let me figure out an over or an underdog on the fly here. My apologies. My internet cut out while you were talking, Paul, so I couldn't look at my sheet. Let me take. Hang on. Oh, yeah, sorry. I looked at the sheet wrong. Let me take Duval, +3.5 Jacksonville Jaguars, please.
Excellent. I was fully expecting that for you to take that.
Yeah, it was completely understandable, yeah.
Excellent. So I'm going to take my favourite. I'm going to leave my under till last. I'm going to take the Indianapolis Colts, 7-point home favourites against the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders stink. The Colts, even though on the back of a loss where they heavily beat themselves last week. Actually, I'll rephrase that. Adonai Mitchell beat them last week. I think they'll bounce back. The Raiders stink. They particularly stink in the secondary. I think Daniel Jones can have a field day here. I think Pittman in particular could be a great shout if you've got him in for daily fantasies. We'll get to that with our fantasy game day preview in our separate episode. But Yeah, I think the Colts have an absolute field day here. I know we got Ashton Genty popped last week for the Raiders, which is great, but I think actually the Colts have been okay, pretty solid defensively. Much better than expected offensively. I think 7 here at home against the Raiders. If you're going to go take care of business and win this division potentially, that you put yourself in a position to be involved in, this is one you win and win comfortably. So give me the Colts -7.
Nice. Cool. So I'll go with my favorite to start with. So I'm going the Cowboys -2.5 against the Jets. Yeah, I think being 2.5, I like the Seahawks and the Eagles, but being 3.5, I did hate 3.5, especially close games. So I think the Cowboys can win this by a field goal. It feels very much like the Jets will probably be leading the drive. They'll fumble, and Brandon Aubrey will kick a 70-yard field goal to win it for the Cowboys to win by 3. So I like the 2.5, just the fact. I think I watched a bit of that Jets game on Monday night in the airport, and they just stink. They're just my preseason prediction of them, going over their 5.5, having a great year, building a line. They just shoot themselves in the foot. I had Allen anytime touchdown scorer, he decides to fumble right the line. It's just who the Jets are, and it feels like. And the Cowboys showed something. Obviously, on defense, it wasn't amazing against the Packers, but this Jets team is not the Packers. So I think the Cowboys are going to be able to put some points on this team, because if the Dolphins can put plenty of yards and rushing yards on you, then the Cowboys are going to be able to as well. So I've got the Cowboys to win 2.5. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
Yeah, I did really like it. And then as soon as I saw you pop it up on there, I was like, you definitely picked the Cowboys as favourites against the Bears a couple of weeks ago, didn't you? And they got tanked, so slightly worried about that. But yeah, I feel like Cowboys have got a run now of very winnable games, almost regardless of how bad their defense has been. So if you're going to haul yourself at 1-2-1 to somehow maybe have a play at a wild card spot, you need to beat the Jets. You need to beat the Panthers, the Cardinals. Who else they've got coming up? You need to start stacking some wins, because it's brutal down the stretch in terms of the schedule. So defense really needs some confidence. They need to get better quickly, and you just need to find ways to win these games.
Sounds good. And I'm going to do something a bit crazy with my underdog, because I don't like any underdogs this week. And the 2 I chose, I'm actually not confident in. So I'm going to go for a team I actually went against, just because what the spread is and being at home. So I'm going to Panthers +1 against the Dolphins. I think being a home underdog against a Miami team who played decent against the Jets, but they lost Tyreek Hill for the year. So I can see this Panthers team sneaking a victory. So +1, that's going to be my underdog, even though I've gone against it in the fourfold.
Is this
in the ATS?
This is definitely a fit. I get accused of talking out of both sides of my mouth.
This is unbelievable.
By you two at times. This is an outrage.
Let's point out, both of Joe's underdogs are available as well.
They're not been taken.
I just don't like it.
Bob, what's your pick?
Unbelievable. Texans Ravens under 40.5 is my under to finish off. Cooper Rush game.
Is it definitely a Cooper Rush game? Is it being confirmed? Just curious.
It hasn't been confirmed that he's out, but he didn't practice again today, and the reports are he's going to be out till after the bye.
Yeah.
But he hasn't been confirmed out. I think Baltimore are just being shitty and not confirming him out because they don't have to.
If they are fucked up and he plays...
They're not putting him on IR, so it doesn't really matter to them when they rule him out.
Yeah.
But I'd be stunned if he plays.
Yeah, it was reported 2 to 4 weeks. I can't see him playing. Cooper Rush game. As bad as the Ravens have been on defense, I think the Texans have been equally as bad on offense. Like, their offense stinks. I know they put up they shut out the Titans last week and then put up 26. Was it? They beat 26-0. But the Titans, so I think they are really, really struggling. The Texans on offense. Ravens might be able to get going a bit defensively in this one, and you almost know you have to because you've not got Lamar. I think it's gonna be a big Derrick Henry game, and it's gonna be a lot of rushing and running the ball, taking time out of the game. So yeah, under 40.5. I really like. I've picked the Ravens ATS. I like the Ravens to win the game. I think this is one you need to find a way to win. Let's say Lamar's out for 4 weeks. Let's say misses 3 games if we got to buy. You've got to find a way to win 1 game to stay alive, I think.
That's all I've managed to do so far with Lamar.
Well, that is true. But to stay alive in this stretch and to be able to make a run, because the division's still in play.
They're still favourites for the division.
Yeah. So, I think, and this is one I think you can win because I think the Texans suck.
Grand. I'm tempted to do a Joe here and just go over 42 for Titans Cardinals, keep the average up. Don't go anything that I believe in, but I'm going to, maybe a bit weird, I'm going to go over 36 in the London game, Vikings at Browns. Ooh. It's such a low number.
It's disgusting.
It doesn't take much to get to 36 points in the NFL. And you do have Justin Jefferson, you do have Jordan Addison, you do have Quinton Judkins, who's looking like one of the best rookie running backs in the league. Jordan Mason playing well. It just doesn't take much to get to 36 as well. So, yeah, I'm going to take the over 36 because it's such a low number. And I kind of hate all the over-unders this week. I think there isn't, especially on the overs. Like I was kind of thinking Broncos, Eagles, maybe. Kind of thinking Bucks, Seahawks, maybe. But none of them stand out. And you know what? Just give me the super low number and I'll hope for the best. And London deserves a big over. They always deserve an over in London. It's a fast track, probably.
Especially if you paid 130 quid to get in, which there is still. We've got another email from NFL UK today trying to flog the last of the tickets, which is crazy. 3 days out from the game.
Yeah, and they use a word regarding the halftime show. I think it's somebody called Rays, who I don't know who that is, but that's because I'm out of touch. They're probably big. Their unmissable halftime show. It's like, well, the show hasn't happened yet. How do you know it's unmissable?
Excellent. Yeah, you can go get tickets now if you want for £130.
Use promo code COVER for 0% off.
Excellent. Cool, right, that's the 4 folds in the book. So, 12-1 shots. Fingers crossed we get one this week. I like the look of those 4 folds, to be fair. We'll see.
Half of Phil's looks great.
Excellent. Cool. Right, let's go with ATS. Just touch on the last few games that we've not talked about. If someone wants to move the screen.
I always forget it's me doing this part of the screen. My apologies.
This fucking guy.
Trying to take a drink and I forget that I control the screen at any point.
Yeah, don't worry about it. So, Joe, you'll be happy because we've all gone Thursday Night Football for the game that's already happened. I think this might be the reason you went the Rams. We've all gone the Rams, so the Niners are definitely going to win outright. Never mind.
Well, I was going to say probably they'll just lose by 7, so I'll still be unhappy.
What a victory.
Yeah, exactly.
And Charlie did pick the Niners.
Yeah, Charlie took the Niners.
Someone's always got to go.
I just did nothing. I couldn't write. Yeah, we'll talk about the bets on Monday, I guess. But yeah, I couldn't pick either side really to actually bet on. So I'm not particularly faded or rode with Charlie. Yeah, just me on the Browns to cover in a low-scoring game, I think. Hopefully not for you, Byron. But yeah, you two on the Vikings. Call on the Colts. For fuck's sake, I didn't see we were all on the Colts before picking that.
When we mentioned that, didn't you have some theory about teams playing the Bears and then the next week they're better? Was that a thing? Or have I just invented that entirely?
I think you might have been. I know I was talking about you play the Cowboys and then you drop off, I think.
Oh, maybe that was it. In my head, it was the Bears, and I was like, you're not worried about this happening with the Colts, but I've invented it.
Yeah. Yeah, so we was talking about you get beat if you play the Lions, then the week after you get beat because they beat you up. And then you have a great game against the Cowboys offensively, and then you're just horrendous the next week. Well, the Packers are on a bye this week, so that might not bite them. Me and Byron on the Giants to cover against the Saints. Cowboys, Jets we've touched on. Eagles, me and Joe on the Cowboys. Byron on the Jets. Well, I just noticed that.
Yeah, I just think the Jets are due a win. They haven't been as bad as their record. They're due a win, and Dallas find new ways to lose games or give up games by the week sometimes. So I wouldn't be surprised.
We talked about the Eagles, Broncos, just Byron on the Broncos. There's a lot of me and Joe on the same game and against you, Byron, this week, I think.
Well, I mean, with the Panthers one, it's kind of me and Joe.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
And you and Joe.
Yeah, interesting. And then, me and Joe have the Ravens, you have the Texans. Cardinals, Titans, Joe's backing the Titans to cover, as we kind of discussed. Just me on the Bucks, he's on the Seahawks, all on the Lions. We've not touched on it because we talked with Phil, but yeah, I really like the Commanders this week. I think the O-line problem for the Chargers, I think it's possibly too much to overcome.
Totally agree. I hated how the Commanders looked. I dropped them quite a bit in my power rankings. Not because they lost the game to the Giants, but because of how that O-line looked in that defeat. No Joel, Mekhi Becton might not be there. We know Sean Slater's out for the season. I just kind of worry that might be too much to overcome. I hope not, because I obviously love the Charbors. But I think this is a big coaching ask for Jim Harbaugh this week. It is at home, which, Washington going across country. We'll see if Jaden Daniels plays or not. But, yeah, just that's enough to sway it to the Commanders for me.
Yeah, excellent. And then prime time, we're all on the Bills. Me and Byron on the Jags, Joe on the Chiefs. Excellent. That is week 5 preview in the books. Thanks again to our 2 guests. We're John MacDonald, so again, a member of the UK Vikings fan group, taking on the great challenge to ride 600 kilometres from Dublin, or cycle 600 kilometres from Dublin all the way to London in time for the game, raising money for Mind. If you can spare a few quid, go go and use the link in the episode description and drop some money their way, because great charity, great cause, an unbelievable effort, really, cycling all that way. And again, thanks to Phil Marsh from Join the Huddle, Huddle UK. Go give the pages and site a follow at Join the Huddle UK, and you get all the links to the podcast, the great articles, especially the Dallas Cowboys ones, and also 31 actually talented writers there, who are all doing a great job. Make sure you follow us. Last plug, us. Good Teams Win Great Teams cover. Available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Overcast, YouTube if you want our faces along with our voices and all the great graphics. You should really watch on there. Joe does a lot of work. Give the graphics some love. And then give us a follow on all our socials at GTW_GTC, X, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky. And we'll be back. We won't be back. You'll see our Fantasy Game Day 10-minute tips on Saturday, and join us for the review as well, dropping Tuesday morning.